Hi, I'm Jay Nickens, the City of Nort Port's Community Engagement Coordinator. This is our new podcast, Voices of Nort Port. In this series, we aim to preserve the living histories that have shaped our city's identity by creating an audio archive through the voices who lived it. This week's guest is Karen Arlington, a longtime resident of the City of Nort Port. Hi, Karen. Thank you for being here.
Hi. You're very welcome. I'm going to enjoy it. I love talking about Nort Port.
That's great. And when did you move to Nort Port?
1986.
1986. And what brought you here initially?
Well, Massachusetts was getting very expensive, and my parents had bought a home on Inglewood Beach.
Oh, nice.
So each one of us, out of the four of us, we started drifting down here. But I didn't want to be on the beach, so I picked Nort Port because I come from a small town, very small town in Massachusetts. And Nort Port at that time was a very small town.
So it was a small town in 1986. What did you do for fun?
All we had was a Winn-Dixie and a post office and one red light.
Wow.
So anything we did would be in Inglewood or Port Charlotte or Venice. My kids went to school in Venice, but they graduated from Nort Port High, which was kind of nice. We were glad to see the high school go up. But then it just got crazy here. I mean, there's lights every corner, there's stores every corner, but I was used to a small town. Yeah. So this is what I wanted.
So to keep you busy before, there were so many things here. Were you on any committees or any boards?
I was on 6 boards in the city of Nort Port over the time, and I was working full-time. I started out here at Barnett Bank, and then it became everything else. And when it became Bank of America, I was done. But I was on the board for the 50th committee. I've been on the Nort Port Republican board, actually on their board as vice president, entertainment, and in charge of the entertainment and the things that they did, the parties and things that they had. Now I'm back on that board as a vice president again. I was on the board to build the recreation center.
Oh, wow.
For San Pedro's. I was on the board to build the high school. There was 15 of us on that board. And then I was on the board and started the Friends of the Performing Arts Center, which I don't know if you had seen any of that. We had ushers. We started out with ushers. Actually, Bill Cloney was a longtime resident that was on a lot of boards at that time. And Nancy Wozni, they're both gone now. They were on a lot of boards. And Nancy and I became good friends, so she pulled me on every board she was on, and I pulled her on every board I was on. But Bill Clowney was in charge of the Nort Port Orchestra, and he had volunteers, and I needed volunteers, so we started using his, and then we got volunteers, and then we merged the two, and I became president of that, getting the ushers. The ushers were at every show. I don't know, you've probably not been here long enough. They don't have ushers anymore. I just couldn't, after, I think I did it for like 12 years or something, and I just couldn't do it anymore with, family things and stuff like that. So I turned it over to someone else, and it only lasted a year or two.
So 12 years of performing arts. Yeah. What was your favorite performance?
Oh my goodness, there were so many. Probably the people that imitated the Eagles.
The band, the Eagles, or the Birds?
It wasn't the band.
Okay.
And it's their imitation that are still around and still making big bucks. It was a lot of work because every year we had to go to Springhaven, I forget what the city, some little country town, and we sat all weekend. We went on a Friday night, and we'd be there Saturday and Sunday. We would arrive at 8 in the morning, and we would stay there till 5 in the afternoon.
Wow. Every
15 minutes seeing a new act.
That's a long day.
Well, it's a long weekend.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of good acts, and you see a lot of really not so good acts. I think we probably see, my husband always makes fun of it because my husband went with me. We probably seen about 15 Elvis Presley imitations every time. Most of them weren't real good. But yeah, we had a lot of different, because we catered to the older people. The person that took over for me, she was one of the ushers for a long time. She didn't have the same ideas as I had. Mm-hmm. So, I catered to the crowd. So even if I liked something and it wasn't, for older people, I did a lot of 50s stuff because the people here were from that age.
Right.
So we had a lot of good acts, and it was a lot of fun. And of course, the school puts on a couple. And every year with the money we made, we gave scholarships to the high school.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we tried to give them to not the A students, not the people that were getting, that was my whole thing, not
Right.
the kids that are going to get them anyway. The kids that are going to get a lot of them, they're the bright kids. We tried to give them to the kids that were struggling, that were trying to go to, and it was always an artistic school,
Right.
because we were performing or the arts. But that was a lot of fun. That was my real enjoyment out of it, the night of award ceremony, and we could hand out these checks to these kids. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I was on a lot of committees. I was on Boys and Girls Club one year. I was on the, my brain is starting to go. I'm getting old and my brain is starting to go. The chamber, I used to do the dinners. Me and another young lady used to do the dinners for the chamber every year. And then they just got so big that it was a lot of work. And I think the chamber actually hires somebody now. But yeah, I got involved in a lot of stuff, kept busy, worked, and raised 5 kids. So,
So 5 kids right here in Nort Port.
the 3 were actually, sometimes 4. My husband and I, it's our second marriage, and he had 3 and I had 2. So the 2 came down with us, 2 more came down, and then left. So it was off and on. But yeah.
And what did the kids do to stay out of trouble when there was not much to do
They
in
went to
Nort Port?
school. One of our sons, we had a school at that time, and we don't have it. It was in Venice, Ideal, and it was for kids that had a hard time in school and that probably would not have graduated. But they worked with them different. They worked with a different schedule. They they were in small classes, and they had a lot more freedom. They were usually older kids, seniors and stuff. And one of my sons graduated from there and is doing very, very well. Actually, all 5 of my children have careers, so we did okay.
Yeah, you did great.
I have grandchildren here in town. One is a fireman for Nort Port. One is a fireman in Orlando. One is a nurse in Inglewood. My daughter is a nurse in Venice.
Wow.
My son is a lieutenant in the state prison and teaches guards coming in. He retired from Nort Port Police. So we keep very active. We kept very active.
So you said Nort Port Fire. Can we get a shout out with his name?
Jeffrey Watkins.
Hi, Jeffrey Watkins. Thank you for your service here in Nort Port. Okay, so you also said you were on the 50th committee.
I was chair of the 50th. Yeah.
And let's hear a little bit about what that was like now that we're celebrating 65.
It was a 3-year commitment.
Wow.
We met for 3 years, the last year being all of the events. We had an event every month. The last month we had a ball. We had some radio people there. We had a parade the last month. It was a 2-hour parade. We had floats from everywhere. We had a float from Disney, a float from SeaWorld, a float from Busch Gardens. At that time, we had the Atlanta Braves now, right?
Yes.
We had the Texas Rangers.
Okay.
I think it was the Texas Rangers. Again, I've been here a long time, and I'm old now. I'm in my 70s, so a lot of my memory is just sliding away. They had a big float. A lot of the floats gave out, prizes, toys, or whatever their thing was. I think every business in town was in it. All the county commissioners, all the city commissioners, everybody. It was a huge parade.
And a few birthday cakes.
Yeah, quite a few birthday cakes. We asked for people not to do a birthday cake float because we wanted the committee, the 50th committee, there were about 15 of us. We wanted to have that float, that be the piece de resistance, if you want, at the end of the parade. But there was probably about 10 other birthday cakes that
Wow.
companies did anyway. They were floats, or they walked beside or whatever. But there were a lot of them. But we had a lot of other things. We had the Venice High School band. I'm trying to remember. I don't think Nort Port was there then. It's really hard to remember back that long. I mean, 59, I think it was.
It was 3-year commitment. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You also, I am very excited that you brought in A Taste of Nort Port 50 anniversary cookbook.
Yep.
And so you said you have 2 recipes in here.
I do.
And do you remember what they are?
I think one is breaded chicken. I don't know.
Oh, like chicken cutlets?
Chicken fingers.
Chicken fingers. Nice.
I think the other one was a lemon cake or something. Again, I haven't looked at the book
I can't wait to look through this.
in a long time. There's some good recipes in there, and all of the people on the committee are in there because we were each told that we had to put in 2 recipes. So we all did. So at least 30 recipes belong to the
And I
to the
was
committee.
talking to you offline a little bit, and I was letting you know that we read a newspaper ad that said that there were not enough recipes. So I was so excited when you brought this in to show that this really
I
exists.
don't know what. Now, when we were doing that, Elaine Allen Emmerich was worked for Nort Port News, Nort Port Times, whatever it was that is.
The
I'm not going
Sun?
to say it. I'm going to be nice. And Elaine is great, but they moved her to Venice when her husband ran for commission, so she doesn't cover us as much. But she covered pretty much in there, and I know she must have known that the. So I don't think it was her that wrote that.
I did read one article about she made deviled eggs. And so she went through the whole recipe of deviled eggs, and she was saying, and then all this work she put into it, and her son didn't like them. And so I saw her not too long ago. She said, he still won't eat my deviled eggs. All that work. But I can't wait to try the recipe in
Yeah,
there.
there are a lot of good recipes in there. And it was fun doing that. With 3 years to do all of this in the making, and we had 15 people on the board, we all had a different committee. I was not on that particular committee, but as chair, watching it and making sure it gets done and stuff. But yeah, we had a committee for the dance, and we had a committee we had a seniors Olympic day, which was kind of
Senior
fun.
Olympics, okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of sports would that entail?
It was just, in trying to remember back, it was like any other Olympic thing, it was like walking or doing, different little things. I think we had a golf tournament, I believe, too. But again,
That's fun.
I mean, it's so long ago. It's, 40, how many years ago was that? That was 15, well, in 59, we were 50 years old, or it was 50. I forget. Again.
That's okay.
And you can
That's okay.
I am getting old and my memory is getting thinner and thinner.
When you think of Nort Port, what do you think of? Do you have any memories that really stick with you that make your heart happy here in Nort Port?
My heart was happy in Nort Port because when I moved here, everybody was so friendly and so outgoing. And we were like one big family. There weren't that many people there. I mean, I don't know, maybe 8,000 or so. But we knew each other. Everybody knew everybody. When I worked at Barnett Bank, which was right downtown, so I knew them. I knew people from being the banker. I knew people from being on the committee. I knew people from being on all the different boards I was on. And the funny part was, the hard part was, I'd go into Winn-Dixie at the time. We didn't have a Publix, and people would know me, but I didn't know where they know me from. So, because I was in so many places, but everybody knew, me from someplace. And sometimes I didn't know who they were when they were talking to me.
They just smile and say hello.
Say hello. Yeah. And my husband would say, why didn't you introduce me? And I'd say, because I don't know who it is.
That's so funny. Did your bank have maps of the streets?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we had any
I remember
maps.
hearing one of the banks had maps before there was GPS. They had like a map.
Well,
and
Chamber
I remember
had maps.
Chamber had maps.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Chamber had maps. The Chamber had all kinds of maps.
Okay.
And at that time, it was Pat. I can't remember her name. Pat was in charge of the Chamber. And we used to, we went to a dinner one time. Again, I was working at Barnett Bank, and the manager, and I'll think of her name in a minute, we went to a Chamber dinner, and it was so boring. And everybody left early, and we thought, no, we can't do this way. So we went to Pat at the time, and we said, we'd like to do the dinner from now on. And she said, go ahead, okay. So the first dinner we did was a Hawaiian theme.
Oh, fun.
And we told everybody wear Hawaiian shirts, Hawaiian clothes, and we had Hawaiian skirts and all of that. And between each speaker, we taught the people there a step in a Hawaiian dance.
What a great idea.
It was fantastic, and everybody had such a ball. And there used to be 40 or 50 people that come. The next year, we couldn't fit them all in there. Everybody wanted to come to the Chamber dinner. And then from there, it just got bigger and bigger, and now they just do masquerade balls and all kinds of stuff, and I just don't have all the time for that. Plus, I think they hire people, or the people that Chamber at that time was 2 people. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many people are there now. I'm sure it's more than 2. Yeah.
And for that Hawaiian dinner, did you cater the dinner, or did you cook all the food yourself?
No, we catered the dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to pay a ticket, and all the money goes to the Chamber. It was their fundraiser. And then we did one for, well, the Boys and Girls Club used to do a big one every year, and they used to do an auction. And I was on that a few times. There was a lot of things going on now.
When Nort Port started, we needed all those people that didn't give up. And look what you built, you and Joan and everybody else.
It's funny because I used to always say, and I used to get aggravated at people, I used to always say the same 100 people are on all of the committees. If you're not on this committee with me, then you're on this committee with me. Nancy and I were on at least 5, and then I was on some, she wasn't on, and then she was on some, and it was the same. We would know all the people on each committee because they were all the same, if you know what I mean. They weren't obvious 10 people, weren't the same 10 people that were over here, but some of those people were.
Yeah.
So it was like the 100 people were doing everything. And it did, I mean, the place just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
I moved here in January, and so I know Nort Port is a lot larger than it was. But I still felt so welcome, and everybody was so welcoming to my son.
A small neighborhood atmosphere.
And you can tell that this city was built on love, which is so nice, just talking to everybody.
Well, I think you talked to Joan already, and she was one of the big people here. Yes. She was into everything. If I had a question, I'd go to Joan or Nancy. Nancy, unfortunately, is gone. But those were the 2 people that knew everything. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to get in with those 2 people. I believe Joan was on the 50th committee, I think. I'm trying to think back, but I'm pretty sure she was on some committees with me. Joan did a lot. Yeah. I believe she was I'm back in my other state, a commissioner or a school board person or something. But again, my memory is starting to fade. I'm sure hers is too. But we were the people that you went to, like even in the Nort Port Republican Club, there's probably 3 of us that have been there that long. The new people come in, which is great. We love new people in the club. We love new people that move into Nort Port to come visit us and come join us. But the people that were left, there's me and maybe 3 others that are actually left from the first regime. Wow. So yeah, it's been a long haul, but I hold on to that one. That one has the same night of the month. It doesn't change, so it fits into my schedule. And besides that, I love the Republican Club. It's a good club with good people.
That's great. And so you were very active. You must have got hungry. What was your favorite place to eat?
Unfortunately, it's gone.
Okay. And what was it called?
It used to be called Sugars.
Sugars, okay.
And it was across from what used to be Barnett Bank, which is now Bank of America, where the Winn-Dixie and everything was. And first of all, the Lorenz family owned it, so it was family owned, and the food was always good. And of course, I worked in the bank, so lunch over there, and even dinner sometimes. When they did dinners, most of the time they just did breakfast and lunch. And then, I don't even remember his name. I think it was an Italian guy. He bought it from them. And oh my God, he made the best food.
So if they were still open and you could go there today, what would you order?
I would order a turkey club sandwich because they made it with real turkey. He would cook a turkey every morning.
That's amazing. That's a good lunch.
It was amazing. And I ate it a lot, and he made the best French fries. Now you have to go, we went to Old World, always. Old World was great, and they were great to the community. And Christine and her sister Teresa, our sister-in-law Teresa, they supported all the sports teams. They supported anything we did, like the Republican Club. They'd make sure we had dishes from their restaurant, anything that the high school ran, anything that we did, they supported in some way. They were great.
So for new people coming into the city that you love, what advice would you give them?
Get to know the people. Get to know the businesses. Get to know the business people. Because they're usually, most of them, they used to all be local people, but now, of course, we've got all these big stores, all these big retail stores. You don't have to leave Nort Port anymore. We used to have to go to Sarasota or Venice or Port Charlotte when I first moved here. No matter what you were shopping for, you had to go out of town to get it. Right. And now we have everything, and the people here are good. Get to know the city like this. Listen to this broadcast. Get to know what the city's all about, because it is a great city. I like the little town feeling, and I like the things they do. The police department, like National Night Out. I love National Night Out, and they do it every year. And we have the best police department, the best fire department I have ever seen in any place I've lived. They are right here with the people. They are right there for you. I love this city. I could go on and on about everything. It just takes me time to think of the things and remember them. But we have a lot of memories here. We have a house now off of Cranberry. And I tell everybody when they say, well, you could make money on it. Why don't you sell it? I'm going to die in this house. I am never moving again as long as I live. I'm quite happy. I have good neighbors. I'm on a good, quiet, peaceful street.
I love it. Well, thank you, Karen, so much for joining us and sharing your experience.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it.
Your insights into Nort Port's history have just been inspiring. Your love for the city is contagious, and I love it so much.
Hope so.
To our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Voices of Nort Port. I'm excited to continue learning from our local Nort Port experts. Until next time.